Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. You're welcome to this tutorial video on the usage of this app. This is the home page that you can see. This captures everything or almost everything that you need to do with your class, and each class will have this. The first thing you want to do as a teacher is that you want to select your class, and you can do that at this point. Just click this arrow and you have the drop down of classes. You will have all your classes there, but if you cannot find your class, you can let me know. We'll do something about it. So let's say that your class is basic 1, for example. That class will be selected, and then the next thing that you want to do is that you want to register subjects for that class. So you click this point where it says register subjects, and it will take you to this page to register subjects. So you type in your subjects that you want, all the subjects that are done in that class. For example, if you do mathematics, then you type mathematics, and I will advise that you put a shortcode so that for graphing purposes, which you will see later, shortcode for math would probably be MATH. It doesn't matter whether it's uppercase or lowercase, the computer will adjust it accordingly. English studies, let's just say English language, and then put the shortcode there. You can come here to enter the source subjects, and let's say basic science and technology. So as I've said, you don't need to worry about the case of the letters, and then you go on and on and on, and you can have all the way to 22 subjects. I recommend that you put the shortcut there. When you're done, you can click this button, and you will always find this button on every page. It will take you back to the home page. Then from that home page, the next thing you want to do is that you want to input the data for your learners, and you can do that by clicking learners data. Now you have this table where you enter the most basic of information. You need to enter the surname, first name. Other name is optional. You need to enter the gender, the admission number for unique identification. Date of birth is optional. Parents' home, parents' email are all optional, but you need to just enter the surname. Let's say the name of the child is Agbabiaka. Samad or Lukemi. Okay, don't worry about the case as well here. Lukemi is male. Just type M, or there's a drop down. You can select either male or female, or you can just type it. So, and click the drop down and to give you either male or female. So if it's female, you select F and then you move on. So admission number, of course, should be numbers. Date of birth, the day before, the month before, the year, and that helps when we want to calculate the age of the child to put on the report card. So let's say we have the 3rd of May of 2011, and then the phone numbers of the parents will be 08023515151, and that is that. Let's just enter one more child. Okay, so don't worry about the unique ID here. It's automatically generated. Just enter your admission number. You don't need to number, and then you don't need to, just come to the yellow patch. Whatever you see the yellow patch, that's where you enter data. The brownish patch means you can't enter data there, so I'll just enter another child. Say Fola Wewo Rahman. Idris. Say it's male. Admission number is maybe 1210. Date of birth is 44062012, and then all this information are optional except for the surname and the first name and the gender, of course. When you are done entering the names of all the children, you can go back home, and then you will now notice that this part of the screen has become all red. and that means your attention is needed in all these places. You need to input scores for the learners that you've just entered their names. You need to enter behavioral comments. You need to enter affective as like motor ratings, and then the attendance record. So we begin by entering scores. When you click enter scores, you see the subjects that you have registered will appear here. Just click the subject that shows you red. So I'm going to click mathematics, and here on this page you're going to see yellow patches which shows where you can enter data. You can't enter the CA total, that one is calculated automatically. You can't enter exam scores, that one is also entered automatically. Now I'm going to enter scores for this test, and you don't have to enter 4 tests. It could be 1 test, it could be 2 tests, okay, as long as you have all the children do the test, everything will be fine. So let's say this test score is 8, then this one is 7, and then the exam score, let's give it 40, and then we can say this test score is 6, this score is 5, the exam score, let's say 60. We're done. And notice something. Let me delete this. Before I enter the exam score, this was saying all okay for Samad, but it was saying giving an error code, which means that you have not completed entering the scores for the second child, which is Idris. So when you've entered all the scores necessary for this child, it will say all okay. But if you have not, you will have an error code. So whenever you see an error code in front of a child, that means that you still have some scores to enter. So here it will be, let's just say 60 again, and that should give you the all okay. What might happen now is that if I give the first child another test score here, let's say 9, he's going to go back to having an error code, because now one child has done 3 tests and this child has done only 2 tests, which means he's also missing a test score. So if you give him a score for that test, you're going to have all okay. Right, tests are usually graded over 40, okay, and exams are usually graded over 60, although that may be different for your school depending on the grading system that you use. I'll tell you earlier you're going to make the adjustments. Okay, so let me just enter one final score for these people, 6 and then 10, and I think everything should be all okay. And when you go back to you look at the top of the page, you have all these buttons that can lead you to different places. You can go back to the home page, but I want to go back to the subject lists page where I have the list of subjects, and since I've entered all the score for math, that list of subjects that shows mathematics should be green because everything is all okay there, but I've not entered scores for English. Okay, so I'm going to click English and come here. Now before I enter the scores for English, yeah, let me just enter the score for English so that everything will be all okay. Let's say 5, 6, 6, 5. Let's give him an exam score of 40. Okay, now here I'm going to explain something new. If the score as I said is over 40, so if I say 10, 10, 10, 15, the test score is over 40 now. It's going to allow you to do that, but you're still going to have an error at the end of it. Even if you enter the exam score, let's say give an exam score from 28, it's still going to be an error code because your test score is over the required limit for test scores, which is 40. So probably some teachers want to enter 5 but end up entering something else. So this takes care of that. It's going to give you an error code, and you know that. So because if you go back to the subject page, you're still going to see that English is red, so you have to go back and investigate. Okay, so everything is all okay with Samad, but for Idris we have an error code. What's happening? Exam score is okay, but test scores over the required limit, which is 40. So this is where the problem is. You're going to change that to anything you want that just brings the total less than 40. Then you're going to have everything all okay. Let's give him 6. Everything should be all okay. So you see, then you go back to the subject list, and oh, what's going on? English all okay, all okay. It definitely is going to tell you all okay very soon. So let me go back to subject list. Yep, everything is all okay. So we're just going to do the same for basic science and tech, and just to show you that you can enter 2 tests for basic science and tech as long as the number of tests are equal. I'm going to give these guys just 35. One test, yeah, 35, 38 for the test score, and for the exam score, I'm going to give 45 here, 48 here, and everything will be all okay as long as the test score does not exceed 40 and the exam score does not exceed 60. Everything should be all okay. So yeah, just wait for it. Oh, there's an error. Oh, I see. This is 48, and that's why it's giving me an error. Okay, so just make this one to be 38, and then everything should be fine. Okay, everything is all okay now. As long as we have equal number of tests, equal number of exams, and you know, the children are not having above the required number of tests. And when you go back to the subjects list, you see that everything will be all green. So now let me just go back to this basic science and tech and show you something. So if the exam score is above 62, let's say you put 65 here, it's going to give you an error code, so everything will not be okay again. So until you have something less than, say, 55, and then everything is all okay. However, if your tests in your school or for the basic science teacher maybe didn't do more than one test, or he wants to grade his own 20/80 instead of 60/40, here you have to enter the test total that you want, because if you go back to the home page, it is written here that the test total is 40, the exam total is 60, and that covers all subjects. But if for a particular teacher, you have a particular grading system that you want to use, maybe English, we don't want to use 40/60, we want to use 20/80, you come here and put 20, and you must remember to put 80 for the exam total that you want to use. And when you do that, you're going to begin to have all sorts of errors here, because now you have set the test total rather to be 20. That's the limit, and now you are having something more than that, so you're going to have to delete some test scores. Then everything should be all okay. So just give it some time. So everything is all okay now, because the test scores are now 20 or below, and the exam scores have not exceeded 80. So but if you now put this to be 85, for example, you're going to have an error. That's it. So I'm just going to undo that, and then everything should be all okay again. So basically that's it. Let's now go back to the home page, because we have entered all the scores. Now we've registered subjects. What you can now do is that you can enter behavioral comments for the children. You can say, the comments that you want to give at the end of the term. She is a good girl. He is a good boy. Please remember to put this in proper cases. When you go back, you see that behavioral comment says green. That means your task there is done. The only reason why these ones are not done is because I'm going to change all these to elective courses, and everything should be all okay here. Yeah, so you're gonna have to change all the other subjects to elective courses, and then everything should be all okay. But however, I'm gonna do that for you. So when everything is done at my end, you see all green for this place that says input scores. So you should not have a problem with that. Affective and psychomotor ratings are all the the affective ratings here: hard work, discipline. So you have to choose between A, B, C, or D. You don't have to pick all, just pick the one that affects that applies to your school rather. So here I'm just going to write A and B, and then that should be done. If it's only hard work that we measure as affective domain, then everything should be all okay. You go back home and you see that psychomotor ratings are all green. And then the attendance record, okay, that comes right here. Number of times present this term should be 150 for this one, 145 for this one, and everything is okay. But it's not okay though, because this is saying for the attendance check we're having an error code. Whenever you have error codes for the attendance, it means that you look at the attendance check here, it either means that you've not entered a score, or the number of times that the child is coming to school is way more than the number of times school opened. And where do we set that? Go back home and you see, what does it say? Number of times school opened. Okay, days school opened right here. We've not entered that, so let's say that one is 160. Then everything should be all fine. So let's just go back and you see the attendance record now is all green because you've entered the number of days school opened, and then this attendance record for the children is not exceeding what you have as number of days that school open. So the only thing that is not green yet here is this input scores, and I said that I'm going to set that set all the subjects to elective. And what that simply means when I say I'll set all the subjects to elective is that it is possible that some children don't do some subjects. You have subjects like home economics, agricultural science, or some children may do agricultural science, some may do home economics. So under agricultural science, you're still going to find that name there, but they don't do the subject. So you set this subject to compulsory or elective rather. And when you do that, what that means is that this child now, if he doesn't do the tests and he doesn't write exams, he's still fine and everything will still say all okay, because the system recognizes that this is an elective subject. However, once you give the person a test score, 12 here for instance, it's going to recognize that he has taken a test or an exam in that score, and then he knows that he is definitely missing other scores. So if the child is not doing the subjects at all, he has no business doing any test. So let's remove that. Okay, so we'll go back home. So that's the problem, challenge with all this. So all these other ones, they are linking to other subject pages, but because you've not registered any subject, nothing will appear on those pages, just the name of the children, those subjects. So go back to subject list. We're going to set everything to elective, and then everything should be all green, and then your enter subject field here will be all green. So what else is red? Okay, class manager, you have to enter your name. Let's say your name is Mr. Olumegbon Ajayi, and then that should change to yellow, I think. Yeah, Mr. Olumegbon Ajayi, and the teacher's name also has to be there. Mrs. Bankole, something like that. But everything should be all fine. So that you're working with, if it is first term, second term, or third term, this is also something you set the session, select it, click this arrow, and you select the session as appropriate. This is an option between having even totals or uneven totals, and that works when you have to calculate your broadsheet for set it to uneven totals. But if you do 4 tests, for example, and you want to calculate the scores based on the test, and if you have 4 tests and it's over 40, then the computer is going to be recording each of them as 10 10 10 10. So if you enter only one test and the child scores 9, it will be calculated as 9 over 40 when you have even totals. But when you have uneven totals, so whatever you have will be taken to be the total over 40. So some teachers don't like to enter the test scores one by one, they just like to give the lump. So that one on even totals will work for you, so that you can get the accurate percentage and positioning of the children at every point in time. And we're going to see that accurate percentage and positioning on this broadsheet page. So what's going on here? This is where you have the broadsheet page, where you have the list of all the children. Okay, and their percentage score. You can see the mathematics, English and physics, science and technology. Your broadsheet will be here. The total for this person is 141, and is adjudged to be the first position, and that's because it's not doing 3 subjects. So his total will be calculated based on the 2 subjects that he does. Well, this man that does 3 subjects, his total will be, the percentage will be calculated on the number of subjects that he does, and then that is 67%. So invariably, this man that does 2 subjects is having a higher percentage and is adjudged the first position. You can print out your broadsheet here. The names of the children will be arranged in order from first to the last. From here, you can do some other things. You can look at the scores distribution analysis for large classes. You're going to see how your children have performed based on these subjects. This is just going to tell you the number of children that score between 0 to 10 marks for mathematics, 10 to 20 marks, 20 to 30 marks, and 60 to 70 marks for and this is saying that one child scored between 60 to 70 mark for mathematics. Uh, you can go from there back to the broadsheet. From here you can go back home, or you can visit the dashboard, but I'm just going to take us back home, and I'll go to the dashboard from the home page. So from the dashboard just shows you an overview of what the children are learning. I'll take that again. Home. Yep, dashboard. Yep, this is our dashboard, and from this dashboard we can get a glimpse of the general performance of the children. Population is 2, 1 boy, 1 girl. Percentage attendance is 92%, calculated from the percentage that you enter. The pass rate is 100%, which means that all the children have passed the exam. Data entry level is still at 27.1%, which means that you have not entered a lot of data, and that is because a lot of the subject fields are set to compulsory. But when we set all of them to elective, that's going to adjust itself. Here you're going to have the names of you're going to have the average of the children per subject. Okay, so for basic science and technology, that's the best subject for the children. The best subject is always going to be on top, and then the weakest subject for the children will always be below, and in this case it is English language. But you can look at the performance per subject, and you have 3 subjects anyway that you have registered. So basic science and technology, for instance, you are going to see the best student in that subject is Samad Agbabiaka. The maximum or the average for that subject is 86.5. The maximum score for that subject is 93, and the minimum score is 80. Okay, I think you're going to have okay, if you want to view performance per student, you want to see how a particular student is performing, select the name of the student here, Samad Agbabiaka. His strongest subject is basic science and technology, and the weakest subject is English, and his overall percentage right now, based on the subjects that have been entered, is 67%. You can also see all the other students on the list, as long as you have entered their name at the beginning. You would always find the names of the best 3 students here, and then the names of the weakest 3 students here populated. Okay, here you just have the graph of those that have passed to those that have failed, and since there are just 2 students and both of them have passed, you have them here. Then from here you can go back home, or you can go to the subject list. I'm just going to go home, and then so I think that's it's a summary of how to use the application. It's very interactive. If you have any suggestion, if you have any problem, you can feel free to contact me on my phone number 070 11 640 728. Thank you.